The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
Hi, so black teen here. What did he mean by that? Like, I've been racking my brain for well over 6 months now, and I have absolutely no idea what this means. And you know what? I'm not sure he knew either. You can go to school for game development, okay? Like, that's something that plenty of people have done, but there's a higher percentage of people out there who just happen to have internet access than there are educated people who understand the ins and outs of game design. And yeah, I'm one of those people who just happens to have internet access. You think I've been to school? No, I haven't, but that doesn't mean I'm clueless. You know, everything I say is based on observations I make while playing games, or based on research I do. Just like any art form, I don't have to fully understand how it's made to critique it. I don't have to go to film school for 5 years just to tell people I think Suicide Squad is a bad movie.
I'm an idea.
Games are the exact same way. You're free to say whatever you want, regardless of how uneducated or clueless you actually are. Such is the nature of the internet. Back in the before times, reviews were resigned only to official writers from official publications. Nowadays, all you need is a computer and an opinion, which is actually pretty freeing. That's why I have a platform, even if it's a very small one. That being said, this power has been used for evil before. Let's think back to one of 2020's most controversial games, The Last of Us Part 2. And look, I really don't care what you think about the game, because regardless of whether or not you like it, you'll probably disapprove of my next statement, assuming you're a decent human being. You see, Abby is a character in The Last of Us 2 who did some, let's just say, less than desirable things in the game's narrative, and became a character who a lot of people love to hate. Or maybe love isn't the word. A lot of people just hate her. Laura Bailey, the actress who plays Abby, she's amazing by the way, was sent death threats within a week of the game's release because of what her character did in the game. Hey guys, actors are not their characters. She is not Abby. She is not responsible for Abby. Abby is not real. You shouldn't be sending death threats to anyone, but like, if you're going to, can you at least target the right person? That would be the writers, by the way. You know, they're the ones who created Abby. They're the ones who wrote her actions into the game. I guess Laura's performance was simply that convincing. This is the dark side of having a platform. Using that platform to target people, to hurt them. In this case, targeting someone who is simply doing their job, and doing a damn good job at that. But let's be fair, this is the extreme. Why don't we read the normal? Why don't we look at some reviews? Well, the average user score isn't quite as low as I remember it being. The video game is incredible. I loved it, but I can't believe the story. It is very bad and it doesn't come close to the first one. Even so, in graphics and gameplay, it will not disappoint anyone. I kept awake to finish it and it was worth the pity. I skipped the cinematics when I reached the middle of the story. They are unfortunate. Sir, this does not sound like a 10 out of 10 review. But since it is not a movie and I loved the gameplay, I give it a 9. Sir, you gave it a 10. Masterpiece. Best game of the generation. Best graphics. Soundtrack. Gameplay. Very informative. Balan Wonderworld is greater than The Last of Us Part 2. Garbage, 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 garbage. Fans lined up to buy the game was a testimony of the love and money they were willing to give for more of what they got in the first game. The fact that Naughty Dog pissed all over those fans by dragging them into a world that completely took you away from the first game is unforgivable, and even if that fact wasn't even the worst of it all. I have no idea what that means. I learned one thing after playing this game, and that is to never ever trust the mainstream gaming media. They are corrupt, dirty liars and no one should ever trust their reviews ever again. I am completely dumbfounded by the necessary insanity inserted into this game. The story is just dumb. A huge problem is the laziness with the story. The plot is complete garbage and filled with holes. This is a vile, disgusting, truly repellent piece of nihilistic trash that wallows in the worst, most base and deplorable elements that could be conceived by the human imagination. Great art inspires. The Last of Us Part 2 does not contribute anything positive to society or humanity. It's the type of product that will leave you a worse person for having experienced it. By the time you're halfway in, you will feel the need to bathe yourself in bleach to cleanse yourself from its grimminess and abhorrent worldview. The person responsible for this game must be a disturbed and sick individual. I feel sorry for all the talented programmers and artists and other employees who had to bring this anti-human garbage to rancid life. This is actually the most negative review I have ever seen in my life, and it's a 1. It's not even a 0. I think I'll rein it in there. I know that it was weird that I basically only read 10 out of 10 reviews and 0 out of 10 reviews, but looking at the distribution here, it becomes clear that that's pretty much every review of this game that exists, at least as far as user reviews are concerned. There are very few mixed reviews by comparison. They're actually kinda hard to find. It's clear that there are way more negative reviews from the average user or an official reviewer, and that's totally fine. I think a lot of these are pretty bad reviews written by butthurt people, but that's a part of internet reviews at the end of the day. People are allowed to state their opinions regardless of what place those opinions are coming from, and I'm sure that the majority of butthurt people who wrote these reviews weren't necessarily the ones who went on to send death threats to people, because again, that was the extreme. But game reviews can't just be used only for evil, you know? Game reviews have been used for good before. Let's take a look at another game that came out last year. Doom Eternal is a game that was released to generally positive reviews, critical acclaim even. The single player at least, the multiplayer not so much. Doom Eternal's Steam version was review bombed because of the multiplayer mode. Apparently an anti-cheat software was sneakily added in a patch without any warning. It's called Denuvo Anti-Cheat, and said software actually made it easier for hackers to gain access to people's computers. So, you know, review bombing ensued. The patch was quickly reversed, Denuvo Anti-Cheat was out of there. So, see? No death threats, no unwarranted anger, just genuine change sparked by reviewers with good intentions. Obviously though, these are both pretty out there cases. Most games don't spark polarizing discussion the same way The Last of Us 2 did, or have seriously harmful software attached to it like Doom Eternal. The average game is going to be enjoyed by some and not enjoyed by others. That's just the way it is. What I do on this channel could be considered reviewing, as long as, you know, a review is a critical evaluation. I like to review specific aspects of games rather than the whole, because it's much easier for me to have a nuanced discussion about a game if I'm only talking about one aspect of it. Or, in the case of a game like Final Fantasy X, I talked about many aspects of the game in the service of one aspect of the game, that being cohesion. I'm not trying to reinvent the way reviews work, nor am I the first to do this. I just think that for most games or movies or any work of art really, there are just way too many facets to simply assign it one score or one rating. It's a lot more complex than that. Not that scores are particularly useful in the first place. Just look at a music critic like Anthony Fantano. He'll give a mostly positive review for 5 minutes, and then people will ignore the substance of the review because he gave the album a 7. The numbers are arbitrary, really. I think the obsession with number and letter grades has kind of made reviewing a little bit more difficult across the board, regardless of what medium you're talking about. But we have the internet to thank for all of this. Without it, there'd be no people making a name for themselves as YouTube reviewers, no review bombing, no death threats, probably. So, I guess there's some good and bad associated with it. I'd say that the ability for the average person to weigh in and state their opinion is a net good, and it's encouraging to see people blow up by talking about video games online. And remember not to place too much importance on reviews from IGN or any other major publication, because if there's anything that the initial clip I showed in this video proves, it's that all of us, every single one of us, we're just people, and sometimes we say dumb things. The best reviewers take it in stride.